some honest advice for you regarding investing in a copper sink. Don't do it unless you have time to do research. I promise you, if you don't do the proper amount of research, you are in for one hell of a nightmare. There are all kinds of different companies selling copper sinks on the website. The vast majority of them are reselling copper sinks that they're buying from companies in Mexico, India, China, Turkey, all over the place. My contention is that they're all using annealed copper. They're all using recycled copper. I've yet to see any kind of documentation that they're tested for their purity. I can provide that for my sinks. I use domestic copper only. But it's beyond all of that. The big issue is if you dig into their websites and look at the use and care, you're going to find some scary things on almost all of the websites. Most importantly, the vast majority say that you have to dry your sink after every use. Are you kidding me? Dry your sink every time you use it. Yep, that's what they say. You would think they wouldn't be able to sell a copper sink, but yet one of the companies that says that on their website outsells my copper sinks about 1,000 to 1. They're a big copper sink manufacturer. But they hide that information nicely on their website. Most do. I mean, you wouldn't put that on your front page, would you? Yeah, you got to dry the sink every time you use it. Yeah, that's going to work. Obviously, that's not the case with my sink. Why did they require that? Well, here's why. The bottoms of their sinks are not sloped properly, so they pool water. If you pool water in any copper sink, it's going to be a nightmare. Okay? My sinks have a generous slope to the drain. No issue about pooling water. The other issue is they all, and I mean all, use a faux finish on the inside of their bowl. If it's not the color of an old penny, it's a fake finish. It's not natural to copper. So their concern is if you disrupt that, it's going to turn back to the color of an old penny, which is not the color of their sink. So they want to make sure you don't use abrasives and that you dry your sink after every use, etc., etc., etc. Not the case with my sink. So there's bigger issues than that. Like they put their drains in the middle of the bowl. Good God, that was invented back in Egyptian days, where that was the only way they could figure out how to get a bowl to drain. Well, it's 21st century, folks. We can put a drain where it belongs in the rear corner, so it's out of the way, so you can put a platter in the bottom of your sink and not cover up the drain and have it start filling up while you're running water. They crack me up. Then there's the issue about size, and yes, size matters. If you look at all of their specifications, they require much larger sink cabinets than I do for my sinks. Why? Because they are designed improperly. They're not mindful of sink cabinet design. Well, my background is in kitchen design. I was a kitchen designer since 1977, and I know how virtually all types of cabinets are built. So when I design my sinks, I designed them so they would fit in the same size cabinet as the sink. For example, most 33-inch copper apron front sinks require a 36 or larger cabinet. I can fit a 36-inch apron front sink in a 36-inch cabinet. So you get more bang for the buck, you get more usable space. If you look at the specifications on the size of their bowls, my bowls are literally 12 to 15% larger because I'm not wasting space with these huge 2-inch flanges all around the bowl, which are an absolute waste of time, money, effort, material. they're not necessary. Well, I guess maybe they are when you're using a flimsy type of copper. Am I getting sarcastic? Yeah, I am. Because frankly, I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the fact that all of the import companies do their best to hide the fact where their sinks are made. If you go on house.com, okay, look at all the different copper sinks on there. Not a one of them will give you a hint as to where they're made. If they're $500, $600, $700, $800, you can bet they're coming out of either India or China. In Mexico, they're a bit more expensive. The labor rate is higher. I mean, in China, they're paying people 50 cents a month for their labor. That's it. So if you think about the math, okay, they may have 50 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents worth of labor in the cost of the sink. They're using scrap material. These sinks cannot cost more than 15, 20 bucks. And they sell them to us for $200, $300, and then they sell them to you for $600, $800. It's a $20 sink, folks. That's it. 20 bucks, 50 bucks. When you buy a sink from me, you're buying direct from the manufacturer. I make them, not me, because I can't make anything. My guys make them in our factory. And you're buying at factory direct prices. I'm not embarrassed that my sinks are as much as the most expensive imports, in some cases more expensive. You're not buying a used car from me. You're buying the best of the best. You're buying high quality material, perfection in design, and customer service that I know for a fact is far beyond what you're going to get anywhere else. It is 9:26 at night. I'm still at the office. I've been answering emails, been taking phone calls. It's a Saturday. I'm not here every weekend. That being said, you can call me in the evening on weeknights or weekends. I'll return your call. I don't think you're going to get anybody else to return your call on weekends. And then let's talk about warranty. I've got a lifetime transferable warranty. That means if you sell your house, the sink's still got a warranty. But then I have a guarantee that nobody in any industry, I don't care what kind of industry it is, has. I say that if you're not thrilled with the quality of my sink when you get it, I'll buy it back, pay all shipping costs, bring you back to zero. Okay? Then I'll send you a check for $100 in consideration of your inconvenience. Never been asked. Been in business since 1999. Speaking of 1999, I started all this stuff. There were all these guys that you see online. They weren't around in 1999. Not a one of them. I started the right rear drain. I have patents that have been copied by, I won't name all the names, but there's several companies out there, including some huge names that would be quite recognizable. I started the workstation sink with the ledges on the inside of the bowl and the accessories. I have 3 patents on my Evolution sink, which has 2 inner ledges. There's another brand out there called the Galley sink. They have 2 levels, but their top level is the flange. That's my Signature Series sink exposing the flange. Same sink. They tried to get a patent, but they couldn't because I had come up with this before they did. Who in the heck wants an exposed flange where you've got water sitting there interfacing with your countertop? You need the ledges on the inside of the bowl so you don't have to worry about grout and all kinds of gook interfacing with your countertop. Anyway, I've talked too much. My poor wife is probably asleep by now, waiting on me. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Don't buy a copper sink unless you do your homework. Promise.